Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining my page. And let's talk today about this restlessness, this I don't want to say it's almost stagnation. Like I'm stuck and I want to go somewhere, but I don't know what that is. And what I noticed is that it's energetic, and that happens to be one of the fortes of what I've been working on and developing since 2015. So I'm 7 years into working with the energetics of day-to-day living, and I've been sharing this on my YouTube. For those of you who followed me, you can see that almost 6.5 years ago I started with very succinct parent coaching tips, very grounded, very 3D. And in the last year I've really started embracing newer constructs of energy, and I'm going to take you on a little tour today about what it's like to be a bridge between traditional and non-traditional, or metaphysical, or energetic. And I'm excited. I'm really excited about doing this. So first, notice that if you're in a place where there's no energetic movement, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in the support systems that you ask for, therapeutic, medical, even professionally. So sometimes this might look like, and because I hang out with a lot of therapists and I'm always assisting people who are doing deep therapeutic and energetic work, it will look like, when you're working with a therapist or a life coach or somebody who's been sort of guiding you forward, that there's it's a restlessness, it's even an unhappiness, and you don't really know why, and you don't know what's next. It's like you've done the work and you've done the work and you've done the work, but nothing's really changing. And within my therapeutic community, sometimes it can even look like boredom, both by the client and from the practitioner, which is, we're stuck. They're not shifting. I'm not shifting. We're stuck, right? And yet, when we're in other places in our world, when we're watching certain videos, when we're interacting with people, there's a tingling and expansion and energetic, like, wow, what was that? And so what I'm going to say is, it looks like we're outgrowing the old traditionals, whether it's we're outgrowing traditional mental health, traditional education, traditional relationship dynamics, traditional medical approaches, and traditional ways of making money and managing money. So what we're seeing is that the constructs that we live within were built in the 3D world, and they were built to hold us and to keep us within that 3D world really well, right? But now we have energetics, we have energy, and we have frequencies that are like tapping us on the shoulder and waking us up. And I have a couple of cards to show you. This one comes from the Rebel. It's like almost like sometimes something comes in and you're like, what the heck is that? What am I supposed to do with that? Right? Or I really love this one. This is a phenomenal, like, what happens when you start to go beyond normal? Like, things start coming into your head and you start thinking about them, and they are picking you up and taking you into new areas of exploring. Maybe I want to parent differently. Maybe I want to try doing less physical interaction with my partner and more energetic interaction, more tantric with my partner. These are the kinds of things that are just like blowing our minds, right? So I want to put that in context, that it wasn't random for me to write the Indigo Assignment, because in the 60s and 70s, the early indigos came, and then the en masse, the big indigos started coming in 77. And what we know about the indigos is that they brought a frequency of truth. And I talked about this last week in a video. And then the three sections before that, I was talking about how codependence and sort of misaligned energy works. And these are all awarenesses that have happened step by step since the indigo frequency came in with truth. The crystal frequency came in with the vibration of love. The rainbow came, and each progressive frequency takes us as a population and notches us up. So what's happening is we're moving around holding our 3D, and we're having solar flares, we're having frequencies, we're having upgrades coming in, and we're like, I don't think I can stay in this cage anymore. And so what I love is within the Osho Zen, this is the messenger card. It's almost like the cage of your own construct you've outgrown it, and the door is now lifted, and there's all of this life, all of these people, all of this energy out there waiting for you. And I love the fact that this bird's wings are already in flight. This bird has already made the choice to go out and find out what's beyond the construct of this tight cage in this 3D. So, for those of you who've known me, you know that I work with Araya. I've worked with Araya since 2011. She's a channel, and I used her not exclusively, but I used her primarily to write this book because from 2015 on, I started going to her with specific questions about what is this frequency stuff? What's going on with how would you define an indigo? And so throughout most of this book, you'll have quotes from ascended masters like Lord Sirius, Saint Germain, Mary Magdalene. Let's see. I don't think I put Metatron in here, but there's lots and lots of quotes, right, from different ascended masters that came in. And so I found the one that sort of brought all of this conversation to the surface, which is when I asked Lord Sirius, because I was specifically, I didn't ask Lord Sirius. Let me correct that. I asked Araya to help guide me through the therapeutic labeling and constructs that I was seeing within therapeutic boarding schools, RTCs, wilderness programs, throughout the DSM, the diagnostic manual, and within the psychoeducational testing. Like, what are these labels about and what's really going on? And part of the conversation shifted towards the need that there's a distinct need for these children to have a different kind of therapeutic experience. And we see a lot of this out in wilderness because nature and those that are that gravitate towards doing therapy sitting in a pack chair out in the middle of the woods have a much broader construct of energy. And so I asked for guidance, and Lord Sirius came through. And I wanted to actually read to you what was channeled because I think that this is significant for helping us understand a bridge. So the therapeutic character has been given only the the third dimensional experience. So if you're asking for the new therapist, he or she must be able to enter into the dimensionals, to be interdimensional. One who is not just holistic, but who understands the contracts between masteries of all of the soul extensions coming into the physical body, not entered into the physical realms. This is how Lord Sirius speaks. As to certainty, they are light agents. They are physical agents. They must have the full spectrum of possibilities within themselves so that they can then pass them on. This is not a religious training, but a spiritual one who understands the gifts of the rays of light. And we talk a lot about the rays of light in here because the blue rays of light are what the indigos hold. We talk about the one who understands the gifts of communication within the higher realms through channeling, the gifts of pure essence coming through direct knowledge. So what I got from that is the ability to work within higher realms and bring information in, like I've been doing in this book with the different ascended masters. Lord Sirius, again, these are gifts many therapists already have, yet they are bordered up in the therapist because they have not been allowed to proceed that which what is or was, there was no way to authenticate what they know or knew. So what was happening was that from what I took from Lord Sirius was that we were shored up into this sort of construct of what we could or couldn't do based on HIPAA, based on practices, based on this, and that there is both an expectation from the parent or the client and a delivery on how we're going to help bring somebody through change. And what I learned along the way was that if it's energetic, it needs a different set of tools, right? So what I what I was able to do was to really start to approach this kind of work as if we were bridges, which is we're holding the old traditional ways and the 3D within the family system, within our bodies, within our relationships, yet and we anchor these in, yet we sort of hold and then we lighten up and we shine. And so this is the 8 within the Osho, which is, here's the foundation. The roots are very firmly in what it takes to be in the 3D. Yet as they reach forward, as the seed reaches forward and breaks through into light, it can like expand and shine. So it's both. It's not one or the other, it's both, which is what embodiment really is. So what we do is we anchor ourselves in daily life and we navigate through the expanded energy as we go along. So you have seen me do this. If you've seen me do this weekly, you've read it on my newsletters. If you're brand new, go back and look. I hold a very embodied, grounded place, yet, or I should say, with the principles of family, with children, with relationships, with growth, with going through dramatic or big changes and expansion, and doing that with solid skills on energy, not just emotional understanding. So I have tips for you on what happens when you're in that restless, like the skin's too tight and I need to sort of bust through. I need to break off some of this, like, think of a snake skin, think of a shell, or think of a box, think of a small apartment. It's just way too small after a while. And you're like, I'm sorry, I just need more space. I need to grow. So the first tip is that shift your thinking in your mind and your feeling in your body that there's something wrong with you, that if you are indeed outgrowing the mental construct of what happens when you do you think it's wrong that you're outgrowing it? How do we get out of right or wrong and go into, wow, look at me, I'm growing and I'm growing faster? It's almost like wearing a pair of shoes too long because you're ashamed that they cost too much, and you don't want to discard them because they have high value, yet they're uncomfortable. They're too tight. Clothes, with our weight, with our shoes, with our living, with our physical body, right? So what we want to do is give ourselves permission to want more, to want it to grow. Number 2, to talk honestly from your truth to those who have supported you, whether it is your partner, whether it is your therapist, your doctor, your teacher, your friend, the person that you go to when you're like, I don't know what to do with this, right? About your experiences of being restless and wanting to grow, needing to expand. Number 3, explore with your gut. Like, you're really intuitive, you know, um, little tingles, little feedback, little coincidences. Watch those, because someone, something, someplace, something is going to catch your eye that keeps popping up. Whether it's a person who talks on one of your social media sites, whether it is a name that comes up in 2 or 3 conversations, whether it is a reaction that you have, maybe even to listening to me talk right now. Watch what your body does and explore and talk about it and feel what you need, what you desire, because these are coincidences. These are energy that's swirling around you, kind of trying to catch your attention, right? It's activating something within you, and you're like, oh, that's what that is. So we stop resisting and we follow this energy, right? And then number 4 is to be bold, to step out of normal and follow the energy and let things, and that energy will bring things into alignment quickly. In other words, it's like when you finally take off, it's the same way as when you come home from work and you take off the tie, or if you're a man, and or the constricted shirt, or sometimes even the bra, and you put the sweatpants on and you go like, oh my God, I feel so much more comfortable, right? So what we're doing is we're expanding quickly into that norm. Now, if someone doesn't like to see you that way, or they're not used to that, you have to understand that there's going to be some alignment issues. There's going to be some conflict. There's going to be some dissonance. There's going to be family members. There's going to be partners. There's going to be employers. There's going to be even school systems that are like, we don't do it this way. We need your child to, we need you to, what you're doing does not meet our standards or our guidelines. And at some point you're realizing that, oh, here's the 3D tradition, and here's me, and I'm bridging this space because this feels much more comfortable to me, right? So number 5 is that we are the bridge. We are the ones who are going to hold that tradition, ground in what we can do to stay on this earth, but not constrict us, not restrict who we are and how we grow. I'm thinking if there's anything else. Oh, this is the devil card in the Osho Zen. And what I like about that is that what we do is we sometimes try to pretend. We try to pretend like we're not growing, we're not expanding. Yet, if we were just sort of to take off all of the sheep mentality and turn around and go, I am a glorious lioness growing and expanding. And I don't even know who I am yet, but I'm giving myself permission to grow. That's what we're looking for in who is going to, how we bridge the old to the new and who we seek out to help us move from the old to the new and understanding the process that we are continually growing, and we need guidance for that. So if this has struck a nerve, if this is helping you out, by all means put a comment down at the bottom, like and subscribe, and you can always drop me a note or just go check out my website at denisestryden.com, plus all the contact information for the Indigo Assignment, the Indigo Frequency, discussion with Lisa Gunshore, and all of my social media links are all down below here on this YouTube as well. So you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I will see you next week. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.